Greetings, royal family. All right. So after 35 years since his departure, Eddie Murphy returned to Saturday Night Live, and he is receiving some harsh criticism. So recently on Saturday Night Live, Eddie Murphy was the host and Lizzo was the musical guest. So during his monologue, he brought out, Dave Chappelle came out, Tracey Morgan, Chris Rock, and Kenan Thompson, who is a current cast member. So they did, their little spiel, their little opening act. And throughout the episode was good because Eddie Murphy was on Saturday Night Live for several years. And he brought back his old character, Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood, which is like a spoof of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. He brought back Gumby. Okay, that scene was hilarious. He brought back Velvet Jones, who's an old character. And he was in some of the other, or majority, all of the other scenes. So he did great. Eddie Murphy looks great. He's doing big things. Coming to America 2 is in the works. I'm excited to see that. You know, he has a partnership with Netflix. So they were having a good time. Eddie Murphy was having a good time. So his monologue, okay, he talked about a particular person. We're going to call him Heathcliff, okay? And that had this particular person, Heathcliff, very, very, very upset, okay? Now, Heathcliff's publicist even made a statement. Now, I hope you guys know who I'm talking about because I'm not saying his name because YouTube is not playing with me, okay? So the joke was in reference to Heathcliff's current situation. You know, he's on vacation right now. Get it? Good. Now, just a little bit of history. Back in the 80s, Eddie Murphy, right? Eddie Murphy hit the scene. He was just like a rock star, you know? And he was very popular for like his raunchy and raw comedy. One of his stand-up specials, classic Eddie Murphy Raw. And he was criticized heavily, especially by Heathcliff. He didn't like Eddie Murphy. He didn't like Richard Pryor, any of those type of comedians, you know, with the raunchy and the rugged style and inappropriate, you know, things that they said. They held no punches, you know. So Heathcliff was the opposite of that. He was very safe for work, family friendly. You know, he prided himself on not using profanity and not discussing certain things. So here's the question. If you saw the monologue, my question is, was Eddie Murphy disrespectful to Heathcliff? Here are my thoughts, right? Real quick. Regardless of where Cliff is right now, we can't erase any of the contributions that he's made to our community, to the Black community, right? And other communities as well. We can't erase that. Now, Cliff was not nice to Eddie Murphy and other comedians and other, you know, comedic actors back in the day. And he is on record. It's Eddie Murphy went on record saying that, you know, one day after his show, he got a call from Cliff. And over the phone, he scolded him for his comedy and treated him poorly throughout his career. And, you know, the thing that turned me off was like, you know, you did this over the phone. You know, you could have sat down and had a conversation with Eddie Murphy man to man, but you scolded him over the phone like he was your child or something. And who does Cliff think he is to chastise someone for how they decide to perform like their comedy and their, you know, their routine? So that was off-putting. And Cliff has a reputation of looking down on certain people. So there was a group of comedians, you know, that wasn't really feeling Cliff back in the day and even in present day. Now, I can understand how it looks like Eddie is being used to kind of go against, you know, old man Cliff. However, this is comedy. And I don't like the fact that comedians have to dilute or water down their talents because some people are sensitive. You know, we live in a climate now where everything is offensive. Everything, everything, everything. If I blink too hard, it's offensive. If I clap my hands, it's offensive. Everything is offensive. And comedians are not supposed to be politically correct, and they're not supposed to pacify their audience. It's all comedy. It's entertaining. And even during the opening scene when, you know, Tracey, Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock, and Eddie Murphy and Kenan, they were on stage, when Tracey Morgan came out, he even joked about himself being in a coma after his accident. Remember, he got into a terrible accident on the road with a Walmart truck turned over, and he was in a coma. I mean, he was able to joke about himself being in a coma, right? That's, to me, that's what comedy is supposed to be about. So what have we become? We can't laugh at ourselves. Like, we can't laugh at ourselves in the worst of times. I mean, like when Tracey Morgan was joking about himself being in a coma. First of all, Tracey Morgan is another one of my favorite comedians. But I said to myself, dang, you know, I don't know. I find humor in everything. That's why I'm saying it. I find humor in everything as it pertains to my life and things that's going on in the world. But does that make me like a cruel and insensitive person? No. I get it. Not everyone has the same sense of humor. I get all of that. But policing comedy, like, I just never thought that I would see the day. I thought about this too. Maybe Cliff is mad because the very same people that he turned his nose up at and looked down on are now the ones making him the butt of their jokes. It could be that too. I just don't understand why Cliff is so appalled and demanding respect, you know, when he didn't treat any of these men, these comedians that looked up to him with any respect, you know. Like I said, for years, Eddie Murphy said that he was not nice to him. He was nice to other comedians that didn't look like him, but he just didn't understand what it was with him that made Cliff, like, just turn his nose up at him. He never did anything to him personally. Look, Eddie Murphy ain't got nothing to do with how Cliff got where he is. And in comedy, nothing is off limits. Like, that's the era that I grew up in. There's nothing off limits. You know, you have the roast, you know, the celebrity roast. Nobody broke out into a fight back in the day. And some of those roasts back in the day, woo, they would not stand they would not stand in today's era with everybody being so, you know, sensitive and having to be so politically, you know, correct. But I don't like that. Comedians are just that, comedians. So when they're in their element and they're performing, you know, their show, and nothing is off limits. Dave Chappelle even caught flack for his recent Netflix special. You know, and it was just like, is this fake outrage, or are you guys really, what is offended? It's comedy. What? I know, I can't tell people how to think, how to feel. I get it. But I don't like it. I don't like it. Because like I said, I come from an era where there was no, I mean, Joan Rivers, may she rest in peace, one of my favorite female comedians. What? That's the era I come from. Andrew Dice Clay. Come on. Like, now, please, these people would be outlawed and banned in today's time, you know? So I don't know. I just feel like nothing is off limits in comedy. So I thought it was hilarious. I thought the joke was funny. And like I said, maybe, you know, Cliff is just mad because now he's the butt of the joke. But I will say this, Eddie, Chris, Tracey, Kenan, Dave, you be very, very careful, because don't you ever think that you are immune from being taken down, because it happened to Cliff. And although Eddie was funny, you know, in his monologue and throughout the episode, you know, his monologue was very hilarious. I hope it was strictly coming from a place of comedy and not a place of arrogance. Like, I hope Eddie Murphy didn't say, let me take this opportunity to slam this fool. Maybe he did, but it was still funny nonetheless. So I just think that you men should very well be careful too, because just be careful, you know, because like the great poet Prodigy said, There's a war going on outside. No man is safe from. And I'm not wishing anything on any of these men, but the same way that ridiculousness happened with Cliff, the same thing can happen to anyone, So, like I said, I thought it was funny. Maybe it's probably bad timing, but then again, it's comedy. Like, can we just get back to a place where comedy is just comedy and it's not policed and it doesn't have to be watered down and diluted and people can just either laugh or not laugh? It's just like a bad movie. If a bad movie comes out, you go to see it, you know, you either like it or you don't. Do we have to attack the comedian? Like, why do we have to do that? Like I said, it was funny. If you guys seen it, get down in the comments and let me know. Do you think that Eddie Murphy's joke in reference to Heathcliff was in poor taste? In poor taste. In comedy, that's like an oxymoron. Do you think it was in poor taste? Do you think it was offensive? Do you think that Heathcliff has every right to be angry and give statements through his publicists? I mean, even what's supposed to happen now? He can't take the monologue back. Anyway, Eddie Murphy, you did a great job. It's good to see you back. It was good to see you back on TV. You were in your element. You came back like you never left. I am looking forward to Coming to America 2. I don't think it's going to be a flop. I'm more eager now than I was prior to Eddie being on this episode of Saturday Night Live. So I just wanted to come through, kind of share my thoughts with you really quick, but I'm more interested in hearing what you think. If you saw the episode or if you saw the monologue, let me know what you think. Do you think that Eddie Murphy should be scrutinized for his comedic talents or not? Get down in the comments. I'll meet you down there. Royal family, until next time, peace.